This is Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Kof Aleph, and we like all the learning to be an incredible zchus rafua shalema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva b'seich sha'ar chali Yisrael. We're middle of Kof Amid Beis on the second wide line. We're middle of going through Psukim in Ben Sisra, which the Gemara taught us that in as much as as a whole Ben Sisra is not something that could be learned, but there are Psukim that could be, and those do have favorable interpretations. So it says the Gemara of Atzumim, Kol Ha'aragu, numerous are her victims. And again, as we always mentioned, each of these lines in the Gemara, especially here in Parak Chelek, could be spent on for hours, but at least the Pashib Shat, V'atzumim Kol Ha'aragu Rab Mayu Pitzei Reichel. Many are the pitzei, the blows by the reichel sustained by the peddler. Hamargilin davar erva kinitzes maver gachelas, that margil themselves to speak about immorality. Erva, like the spark of a coal. Kechlov amali oif kain bateyam aleiam merma. Kechlov amali oif, as a coop full of birds, or their houses full of mirma, deceit and trickery. It continues the Gemara quoting Psukim and Arav mitach beisecha beischa v'lo akol tavi beischa. You have to prevent people from coming to your house. Don't bring everyone in. Rabim you darshish shalamecha. Don't be, Rabim. There should be many darshish shalamecha who ask about your welfare, but yet kali soitcha lachar mehelef. Reveal your side only to 1 in 1,000. Guard your words, even from the ones who are close to you. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't be distressed about tomorrow's issues. Why? Because what's going to even happen today? Maybe tomorrow won't be. You're worrying for nothing. Continues the Gemara, Kol Anai, quoting a pasuk from Mishlei, Ani v'ra'im, all my days were poor, ra'im and bad. Ben Sira imer, aflilois, even the nights. V'shal gagim gagoy, because at the base of the roof he lies. Imramarim karmai, height of the mountains is his vineyard. Mimtar gagim legagoy, the rain from the higher roofs falls onto him. Omeafar karamol likramim, and the soil from the vineyards falls into his vineyards. So says the Gemara. Now we're going to go through 6 more psukim from Mishlei, applying them to different types of peoples. We're 6 lines from the bottom of Kufam and Beis, right after the lengthy simin. Amar Rav Zeira, Amar Rav, Ma'idach Seib Kol Yamai Ani Rayim, Elu Balei Talmud. These are those who learn Gemara. Toivlei Mishnah Tamid, Elu Balei Mishnah. Rav Amar Ebcha, Vainu Dem Rav Mishayish Mshei the Rav Ma'idach Seib Maisi Avonim Yatzoiv Bohem. Says Rav Mishayish, the name of Rava, he who cuts out the Avonim, the stones, the Atza Behem, will be sad by them. Elu Balei Mishnah. Ubakea Eitzim Yisakin Bam. For those who are Bakea Eitzim, cut down trees, they'll be warmed. Elu Bali Talmud, these those who learn Gemara. So Machlaikas, which one is the Ra'im, which one is the Taif? Continues the Gemara. Rav Chanina Imer Kol Yamayani Ra'im Zeh Mishish Isha Ra. One who has a negative wife. Tovle Mishta Tamiz Shish Isha Taiva. One who has a good wife. Rabbi Yana Yomer Kol Yamayani Vrayim. This is Pshat number 3. Zeh Istanis. One's an Istanis, then all his days are negative. But for Tevli Mishta Tamid, Zeh Shadaita Yafa. This is the one who's das. His mind is tolerant. He's always happy. Rav Yechon Amar in the last line, Pshat number 4. Kol Yamayani Vrayim Zeh Rachamone. Tevli Mishta Tamid, Zeh Achzari. Someone who is a Rachaman, he's compassionate, and he always is negative. He always has issues. He's always in distress. One who doesn't care about anyone else. Shimon Levi Amar, Pshat number 5, Kol Yamei Anurayim. So we turn over to Kof Aleph. Amid Aleph, says the Gemara, Zeh Shadaita Iksara, Tevlei Mishatamid, And what's one who's always happy? He's always expansive. He's always waiting for the next. V'amar Rav Shimon Levi, Koyamay Ani V'rayim, Pshat number 6, in the final Pshat. V'eating Shabbos v'yamim tovim. Kiddush Shmuel. So how are you telling me that every day is negative? What about Shabbos and Yom Tov? Damar Shmuel, Shini Veschil Yicholim Me'ayim, already had this. And then we had this in Ksubis. We had this in apparently in Adarim. The Shini Veschil Yicholim Me'ayim, that because it's true, the uneven on Shabbos and Yom Tov seemingly should have reprieve, he has food. The problem is that when you change your eating habits, it causes stomach issues. Continues the Gemara, Tana Rabban, another 5 lines down. When you get involved in one who acts inappropriately, disrespectfully towards the Torah. So to read the pasuk of Shir Hashirim, and he makes it like a song. He just sings the words. Someone who says a pasuk in a base mishnah at an inappropriate time, he's just saying psukim without the right feeling, without the right understanding. Maybe ra'ali olam. Why? Because the Torah puts on sackcloth, v'medes lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Torah itself is standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'meres lefanav. Your children have made me bekiner like a flute which the scoffers play on. The Torah yells and screams. All I am is one big song. Amar la. Hakadosh Baruch Hu says back to the Torah, "Biti my daughter, while they're eating and drinking. What? What should they be doing? Amr lefanov. So the Torah responds. So the way they explain this is that seemingly, what's wrong? They're singing psukim, not stam for enjoyment, but rather they're doing it. The opposite. In a time of enjoyment, should they not utilize the psukim at least to aid and bolster their tainik? Amr lefanov. The Torah responds. No. In Bali Mikrain, the Torah requires more of us. If they're one who knows Mikra Psukim, Yasku Batarim Rivin Viksuvim, let them deal with Psukim of Tanakh. And Bali Mishnahim, Yasku Mishnah, let them be learning Mishnayis. Ubalach Suvagadais, in Bali Talmudim, they know Gemara, Yasku Bachas Pesach Bepesach, Bachas Bateris Bachas Chag Bechag. Let them always be learning what they're supposed to be learning at the appropriate time of the year. Why just waste time sitting and singing songs demands the Torah, but rather one should be learning that which he's able to at each and every juncture. Says the Gemara, hey, Rav Shimon ben Elazar. Shimon ben Elazar gave Eidos Misham Rabbi. Shimon ben Chananya, Kolaikari Pasik Bizmanoi. Maybe Taiva La'ilam Shenemar V'davar Bi'itai Ma Toiv. On the flip side of what we said before, if the psukim are read in the right time, if they're doing it in order to praise people, if they're doing it in order to bring out the meaning of the psukim, then there's nothing greater, says the Gemara, davar bi'itai ma'atayv. And of course, this is the balance. And as much as one, even during their time of enjoyment, the Suda wants to maybe have a little bit of a lighter time and utilize song, we see for the Gemara how demanding the Torah is and what one should always be hoping and aspiring for. So we go back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah says the next person that does not have a chilik l'olam haba is one who is leichesh. He makes enchantments over a wound in order to try to heal himself, black magic, etc. Amar Rav Yochanan, says Rav Yochanan, about 20 lines down at the 2 dots. Ube roi cake, and one who spits ba, he spits on the wound before reciting whatever these psukim are. You're not allowed to say Shem Hashem on Rekika. It's Rav Amar Afilu Nagat Saras. Says Rav, it's even one who doesn't say psukim containing the name of Hashem, but rather he says Stam psukim. Rav Chanina Amar, says Rav Chanina, Afilu Vayikra El Moshe. Even a pasuk as seemingly harmless as Vayikra El Moshe is inappropriate when it's being utilized just to heal himself. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabba Anan Sakin Sachin Umisham Ibn Me'ayin. One is like anoint and massage his bnei me'ayin, his intestines, his stomach, b'Shabbos. V'loich Hashem, and he could whisper and he could recite lechishas techashem akrabim b'Shabbos, the incantations that ward off snakes and scorpions. Umavirin kli al gabi ayin b'Shabbos. He could put a utensil on his eyes on Shabbos in order to heal himself. Amar Rashbag, says Reb Shimon Gamliel, one is this, b'medvar ma'murim b'kli nitel. Says Rashbag, this is only a kli that you're allowed to use on Shabbos, not something that is muksa of a cliche on itel aser. Vein shalom b'davar shedim b'Shabbos. It says the Gemara, one cannot ask of the shedim on Shabbos. Rav Yesi Omer says Rav Yesi afachol. This is aser. And on this last halacha, Amar Avuna on the last narrow line, halacha Rav Yesi, Vav Rav Yesi, or Ein halacha Rav Yesi, different kirsais. But explains the Gemara Vav Rav Yesi lo Amar Elam Misham sakana, that the issue is a sakana that the Shadim could harm him. Kihad Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, that what happened, Tivloi Ba'arza, he was swallowed up inside a tree by the Shadim who wanted to harm him. This Avilei Nisa, a miracle Baruch Hashem was performed. Paka Arzo Palte, the tree split open and spit him out. Tana Rabbanon continues the Gemara a little bit about Rafua. Sachram Shavshav Neme'ayim B'Shabbos. He can massage and he could try to alleviate his stomach pains and Shabbos in the first very wide line. Can't do the same way he does during the week. Hey, what should he do? Different ways that they would massage themselves, and different ways that they would try to deal with his stomach. First, he would put the oil on and then massage. Back to our demons. Shari shemen v'shari beitzim mutar and lishal b'hem. Oil demons and egg demons. Again, exactly what's going on over here. What it means by these things, different shadim that are conjured up through the medium of oil and eggs, are mutar and lishal b'hem, are allowed. However, we don't do this because the shadim lie. One could say these l'chashim, these incantations over oil in a vessel. However, vein l'chashin al shemen shebiyad lefikach samchem mishamshe sachin mishemen shebiyad, can anoint the body with oil from his hand because there was no kli. However, vein sachem mishemen shebikli. Rav Yitzchak bar Shemen bar Shmuel bar Marsuk leilahu hashmiza came to certain inn. I see lay mishcha b'imana. They brought him oil in a vessel. Shaf, he anointed himself with it. Nafkanli simchei ba'apei. All of a sudden, he had boils on his face. Nafak l'shuk. He went out to the marketplace. Chazit elahu itza. A woman saw him. Amar, she said to him, Zika dechama. Kach hazina hacha. I see the spirit of a shade named Chama of the Le Melsa. So what happened? She did something. She recited the right incantation and Vitzi, and he was healed. Continues the Gemara. Amar li Rav Abba l'Rabba bar Mari. Ksiv says in a pasuk in the Torah, Kol hamachla shesanti b'Mitzrayim lo'asim alecha. All the diseases that happened in Mitzrayim, I won't bring upon you. Keni Hashem Ravivecha, because I Hashem am your healer. Says the Gemara. 1 second, I don't understand. If the disease are not going to be brought up on the person, Rafua, what do you need the Rafua for? So Amar Lei says, remember to Rav Abba, Mikrazeh atzmoi nidrash. This pasuk explains itself. Shenem Mar, it says, if you're going to listen to the voice of Hashem, im tishma loy asim, that if you listen and you follow the Torah and the mitzvahs, you'll have no diseases. But loy tishma, then asim. But in all scenarios, we have to be cognizant and realize that it will eventually have the refuah. Why? Because Hashem is a healer, and therefore the pasuk no longer is contradicting each other. Continues the Gemara, once we're on the topic of different illnesses, different chaylim and refuahs, says the Gemara, Amar Rabba Rachana, we're smack in the middle of the white lines, Kof Aleph Amar Aleph, the first word on the line is Rabba. Kshachala Rabba Eliezer, Rav Eliezer ben Organis got sick. Nechsami the Levakros told me to visit him. Amar lehem. Chamo azo yish v'olam, says Rav Eliezer, there's great anger in the world. It's chuin b'eichel, they started crying. However, Rav Akiva misachek, Rav Akiva is laughing. Amru loi, the Talmidim said, Lamata misachek, why are you laughing? Amar lem, he said, why are you crying? Amar loi, they responded, Efshar sefer Torah shari b'tzar. V'lei nivcha, there's a sefer Torah, a living sefer Torah, v'lazbin orkinis, sitting here in pain, and we shouldn't cry out. Amar lehem, Rav Akiva responds, Lekach ani misachek. That precisely is the reason I'm laughing. Calls manshani raya Rebbe. As long as I see Rebbe, Rav Eliezer ben Orkinis, she'ein machmitz, whose wine doesn't turn into vinegar. Vein peshtane loika, and his flax doesn't get ruined. Vein shemenai mavish, and his oil doesn't turn rancid. Vein divshane madvish, and his honey does not spoil. Says Rabbi Akiva Amarti, I said, Shema Chas v'Shalom Kibel Rabbi Olamoi. Maybe Rabbi has received his reward of the next world in this world. However, says Rabbi Akiva, V'achshav shani raya Rabbi b'tzar, ani sameach. But now that I see Rabbi in pain, ani sameach, I'm happy. Amar loy Akiva, kom chasarti min ha'Torah kula. So they responded, Rabbi Akiva, is there anything lacking? Is anything that I have didn't fulfill from the entire Torah? Do you would think that maybe my suffering has to do with my averos? Amar loy, Rabbi Akiva responds, L'matenu Rabbeinu, Rabbi Eliezer has taught us, Ki adam ein tzadik ba'aretz, she'aseh tov lo yechatet. There's no such thing. So of course, that's the reason why I was concerned. Tana Rabbanon, Shechal Rabbi Eliezer nechsar b'zakin levakroi. His four Talmidim come to visit him, Rav Tarfon, Rav Yeshua, Rav Elazar ben Azari, Rav Akiva. Nana Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon speaks up, and he says, Toivat Ali Yisrael mitipa shal gishamim. You, Rabbi Eliezer ben Urkin, are better for Klai Yisrael than a drop of rain. Shatim shal gishamim b'olam hazeh. Rabbi b'olam hazeh b'olam haba. Then Rabbi Yeshua Amar Toivat Ali Yisrael Yisrael migalgal chama, better than the sun. Shegalgal chama b'olam hazeh b'olam haba. Then Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Amar Toivat Ali Yisrael Yisrael me'avim. Shavim b'olam hazeh. Rabbi b'olam hazeh b'olam haba. Then Rabbi Akiva Amar Chaviv in Yisurin Amar Lehem. So Rabbi Akiva says, are Yisurim good for you? Chaviv in Yisur, Chaviv in Yisurin, a statement. Amar Lehem. Rabbi Elazar responds, Semchuni v'ashva divri Rabbi Akiva Talmidai Shem Chaviv in Yisurim. Support me, and I want to hear the words of Rabbi Akiva, who said, suffering is precious. Amar Loi, Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Akiva, Zuminai in the Chav, from where do you know? Where do you know that Yisurim are precious? Amar, Mikra Nidarish, I'll tell you a pasik. The last line of Kaval Vamid Aleph, and Shleim Ezrei Shana, Menashe b'Malchai. Menashe was 12 years old when he became king. V'chamisha shana malach Yerushalayim, and he reigned for 55 years in Yerushalayim. V'yasa Rabbeinu Hashem, and he did evil in the eyes of Hashem. Uksiv, as we turn over to Kaval Vamid Beis, says the Gemara, continuing quoting Psukim about Menashe. Gam eila mishlei Shlema asher atiku anshe Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda. These two are the psukim of Shlema when the people of Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda wrote down, which show how King Chizkiyahu, who was the father of Menashe, spread Torah. Says the Gemara, Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda l'chol elam kula limei Torah. Did he teach her everywhere? Menashe ben Oila limei Torah. Could this be? He taught everyone Torah and not to his son. Of course not. Al mikol Torah shetareach bai. For all the trouble that Chizkiyahu tried with Menashe, kol amal sha'amal bai, and all the toil that he put in, lo yehaliu lemutav el yisurim. In the end, what did it bring? It only brought about yisurim. Shenemar v'yidaber Hashem al Menashe v'la'ama v'layik shiba v'yavo Hashem aleim. Hashem spoke to Menashe and his people; they didn't listen. So what did Hashem do? Hashem brought upon them the officers of Shalamelch Asher v'yalachtu as Menashe b'chuchim v'yasru b'nachush shtayim v'yalachiu b'avela, and they captured Menashe. They could tie him up. They brought him to Bavel. Ksiv and the psukim continue, B'yaser loichelas b'nei Hashem, Eloikav. And when Menashe was in distress, he cries out to Hashem, Vayikonem oidu v'nei Hashem, and he humbled himself in front of Hashem, Elokei, B'lfnei Elokei avayisav yispalei lo, Vayaser loi, Vayishma tchinasoi. Hashem listens to Tzila v'yishiv yishlayim l'chus v'yidim Menashe keni Hashem hu Elokim. And Hashem returns him to Yerushalayim, and Menashe knew that Hashem is his king. Halamaded to us, what do we see from this whole story? We see that at the end of the day, Shechavivin Yisurim teaches Rabbi Akiva to Rabbi Eliezer ben Orkanis, don't be perturbed by the Yisurim, the opposite. Continues the Gemara. Let's go on to the story of Menashe a little bit deeper, about 15 lines down. The first one in line is Tanu Rabbanu. Shleisha Ba'u Ba'alila. 3 people came Ba'alila with craftiness, with cunningness, Elohein, Kayin, Esav, and Menashe. Kayin, Dechsev Gadol Avayim Minisai. Kayin says, Gadol Avayim, after Kayin kills Havel, Kayin is told by Kadosh Baruch Hu, that is my sin too great to be forgiven. Penetrating line of Kayin, parenthetically we mentioned, is a line quoted by the Mishnah Brura, with regard to talking by davening, that the Avera is so great. Gadol Avayim Minisai, what can one do about it? Amr lefanav Rebbeinu Shalaylam, says Kayin, and we'll see how great it is. Klom Gadol Avayim Mishishim Riboy Shasidim Lachatay Lefanecha. Is my Avera greater than the 600,000 who are going to sin for you in the future? And yet, V'atasolech Lahem, your Kadosh Baruch will forgive them. So says Kayin, you can forgive me as well. Esav Dechsev Abracha Achas Lecha. Bracha achas lecha. Avi Esav says to Yaakov, you only have one bracha. Menashe v'tchilekar le'eloi hos harbei. First he called upon many gods. V'lev kara le'elokei avaisav. Eventually he does tshuva. Continue with the 6th case of the Mishnah. Is one who says the Shem Hashem inappropriately. Even one who utters the name according to his letters. Tano begvulin v'lashayin agon, a foreign tongue. So the Mishnah continued. There are 3 kings and 4 commoners who do not have 4 adyatais, who do not have a share in the next world. Tana Rabbanan says the Gemara read the 2 dots, about 15 lines before the wide lines. Yeravam Shriva Am. Yeravam. Why? He was laid low with the people. He fought with the people. He caused the fighting amongst the people. He caused a fight between Klal Yisrael and the Father in heaven. Ben Nevat. What do we darshan? What is it? That's Yeravam Ben Nevat, of course. What's Ben Nevat? He was who beheld, he nibat, but he himself did not see. Tana, what does that mean? Who Nevat, who Micha, who Sheva, Ben Bechri, same person Sheva and Bechri, Nevat, Sheniv V'leira, Micha, Shenismach Levinyan, he crushed the building, referring to the Beis Hamikdash, or other idols, or other stories. Umash Shemai, Sheva Ben Bechri Shemai. Tana Rabbanan. So now that we have all these different names of the same person, says the Gemara, Sheva Ben Bechri, who we just said was Nevat, who was Yeravam ben Nevat, Yeravam's father. So now we're going to learn about his revolt, how he came to fight against David HaMelech. Tana Rabbanan Shleisha Niftu V'lei Ra'u. 3 people beheld, but they themselves did not see. They had what to do. They had a sign from Hashem, but they didn't interpret it properly. So we see that in a level, this is worse than anything else, as they had the ability. Kadosh Baruch Hu at some level spoke to them, but yet they missed the boat. Nevat, what happened? He saw Ish coming out of his Amma. Who savar Ihu Malach? So he thought it meant he'll be a king. And it wasn't true, but rather Yeravam Udnafik Minei. It meant that Yeravam is going to come from him, and that's what was being shown by this fire. He saw Saras on his Amma. Who savar Ihu Malach? And again, Shlima, Shlima, that Bathsheba is going to have a child, Shlima Hamelech, who he will be king. It Tzamnige parai, the stargazers of parai, Dam Rav Chama, Rav Chanina Maidach Sev, Hema Memriva, Hema Shirot, Tzamnige parai Vato. They saw, but they made a mistake moving over to the medium-sized lines. He saw that the savior of Klal Yisrael will be hit by water. So Amar says Parai famously, any child born to be thrown into the fire, they didn't know. Shalis came a Meriva like us for the story of the Meriva. When Allah how do we know Yeravam doesn't come to the next world? Says the Gemara Tachsev in the last medium-sized line, "Vayhi b'devar hazeh lachatas beis Yeravam lahachid lahashmid me'al pnei adam lahachid" is where b'elam hazeh lahashmid is l'elam hava. On the discussion of Yeravam, Yeravam lamalchos, why did Yeravam b'zeicha become nimdi sheicha Shlema? Because he gave Musar Shlema Amelch Meman Enish. So why was he punished? When they shechicha berabim, he did it berabim. Shenem Arvizad Davar Sharim Yad B'Melech Shlema Ibn Es Hamilui Sagres Abaris Ir David Aviv. Says the Gemara, he raised his hands against Shlema Amelech Baltamila. He closed up the breach of David Amelech. Omar Lo Yeravam says to Shlema Amelech, David Avicha Beretz Baratzes B'Chaim Makdeshi Al Yisrael Regel. David, your father, made holes in the walls, so Klal Yisrael can come up to Yele Regel with ease. Vatan, you Shlema Amelech. Gadarta Isam Kilasas and Nagra Lebas Paroi. You close them up so there could be a toll for Paro's daughter. What does the pasuk mean when it says you raise hand against the king? Rav Nachman Shachalatz Tefillin Tefillah Befanav Yerav removed his tefillin in Shlema HaMelech's in front of Shlema HaMelech. Amar Rav Nachman. With this we conclude. The gasos, it was the haughtiness that caused Yeravam to be destroyed. Shenamar, Yeravam believe by Yeravam said in Sarat Tashav Demam Lachla Beis David. Im Yaleam Azel Lasis Vachem Beis Hashem, Lasis Vachem Beis Hashem Yishleim V'Shavlivam Azel Donavel Rechavam Melch Yehuda V'Aruv Sham El Yerechavam Melch Yehuda. Yeravam thinks now the kingdom could go back to David HaMelech. If the people will bring karbanos to Hashem and their lave will go back to Kadosh Baruch Hu, then he felt they're going to kill me and they're going to turn me. Rechavam says the Gemara. Amar Rechavam says, Gemiri, that what? Shein, Dein Yeshiva Bazar. Says Rechavam, you're not allowed to sit in the Beis HaMikdash. Elam Malchei Beis David Bilvad. Kim the Chazli Racham the Yosef. When the people saw Yeracham sitting, V'nokamina, well who am not from Yeravam, stand. Savar says Yerachavam, and the Gemara is going into the psyche of Yerachavam, showing where his mistake came from. Ha Malka V'Avda. They're going to think Yeravam must be the Eved. That Rechavam is the king and Yeravam is the Eved. V'yasivna, he says, but if I sit, they're going to kill me. So right away, Vayatz Yeravam took Eitza Melech V'yas Shnei Agolizov, made 2 golden calves. And what did he do with these golden calves? Yisrael He's told the people, you're going up to Yerushalayim too long. This is going to be your new God, these golden calves. My vayatz, what was the Eitzah Amar Yehuda Sheishav Rasha Eitzel Sadik? Yeravam put a Rasha next to that Sadik. Amar Lahu Yeravam said, Chasnimu al kol davinda. Are you going to sign on everything I do? Amar Lehain, yes. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Malka Banu Lemava, I want to be king. Amar Lehain, we approve. Kol daminu chol avita, we'll do everything I say as the king. Amar Lehain, we approve. Va'afilu milcha v'eschavim. Yeravam says, are you even going to bow down to idols? Amar Leh. Everyone said to Yeravam, Tzaddik, Amar Leh Tzaddik. The tzaddikim there said, Chas v'chalila. Amar Leh Rosh le'tzaddik. Do you think? They said, what do you think? You really think Yeravam's going to worship an idol? Meaning they were chapped up by his plan. Just testing us. Remember, are we can accept him? So they thought that Yeravam was not actually bringing these 2 golden calves for people to serve them. And therefore, everyone signed on the decree, even the tzaddikim amongst them. And then it became clear later, when Yeravam actually wanted the people to serve idols, they were not able to retract. We're going to stop over here. We'll pick it up on Kov Beis Amud Aleph with the story of Yeravam Mirza Hashem.